Alright, hello. We are going to be drawing the ratchet wheel in this video. So quickly, just to review some of the things that we've covered in class with the dimensions. Our ratchet wheel consists of multiple concentric circles, meaning that they share center points, and then a few circles that are arrayed around the same center point. And then we have these teeth on the outside. So those are our three main elements that we have to be concerned with. So we're going to start drawing the ratchet wheel by drawing the two center circles. Now we're not going to be drawing the bronze colored center lines here or the dimensions in this video. So if you're attempting to do that, that will not be covered in this video. I just wanted to check and make sure that I'm using the correct layer. So to start drawing this, let's look at these two center circles. You'll notice that the dimensions that are labeled on each of them, the size is the same, the number I should say, is the same. However, the designation in front of each of these dimensions is different. The center circle, if we follow its dimension line, the symbol in front of it is a circle with a slash through it, which indicates diameter. Another way of showing diameter is something saying DIA, of which there are no examples in this drawing. The outer circle, again, same number for the dimension. However, the symbol in front of the number is actually R, and that is for radius. So that's measuring from the edge of the circle to the center, versus over here, we're measuring across the entire circle. So we're going to start by drawing those two circles. A circle with a diameter of 0.75 in the center, and a circle with a radius of 0.75 on the outside. So let's move over here. We're going to select our circle tool. We're just going to click kind of anywhere. We're just going to type 0.75. Now, AutoCAD web app draws by default in radius. So we need to, assume that this circle has a radius of 0.75. And if you wanted to double check, there's a few things you could do. One, you could grab the circle and just kind of drag it over here and be like, oh yeah, that kind of measures up to that outer circle there. Or another way to do that is go over here to the Annotate tab, click on the ruler, and just kind of jump in here and we'll see that it's giving us a measurement of 0.75. And that, again, is measured in radius. We can also use our measurement tool here and go all the way across and see that it says 1.5, so that implies that it's 0.75 times 2 because it's measuring across the entire diameter. So again, many ways of double checking our work as we go. We're going to go back over to draw here. We'll select circle again. And then we're going to draw our 0.75 diameter circle. So the first thing I want to do is I want to start my circle tool, and then I'm going to come down here with my mouse and click on diameter. And you'll notice that the circle is no longer touching the cursor. And we're going to type 0.75 again. There we go. Now we can start concerning ourselves with these 6 circles kind of in the middle, arrayed evenly around the center point. So if we look at them, we're going to pull some information off of them. Number one, we kind of see this like ghost of a circle that they're sitting on. If we go all the way around here, and lying on that phantom or ghost circle is a radius 2 measurement. What that's indicating is that the radius of this circle right here from this center point in the very center of the drawing is 2 inches. So what we need to do in order to accomplish drawing these 6 circles is we're going to draw a temporary circle that will be kind of like a guideline. So I'm going to draw that circle. I'm going to change the color. When you draw it, you don't have to. Oh, apologies there. So I will draw it and then change the color afterwards. All right. So again, radius of 2. We will come in and I will select the circle. We'll go to properties and we'll just change the color to, let's say, yellow. Something different. And then now we're ready to draw one of these circles. So let's look at what the size of these circles is going to be. So the only dimension that's touching any one of these 6 circles that has a radius or diameter or width or any type of actual measurement other than an angle here is this particular dimension right here. So if we zoom in, we can see that it has that diameter symbol, the circle with a slash through it. It says 1.000. So these circles are 1 inch in diameter. So let's draw one. Now, we want to kind of duplicate the geometry here, so the best way to do this is to either draw one to the right of our center or to the left of our center. We want to make sure we're lined up with our center point here. We'll come over here. And we want to see that quadrant marker come up. And we'll type D for diameter and hit enter. And we'll type 1. And there we go. And again, you can kind of see that this circle is approximately the same size as this. And if you're not sure, again, go back in and you should get a 0.5 measurement for that. And again, that's indicating the radius of the circle. If you get something other than 0.5, then you know you did it incorrectly and have to redo it. Okay, so now we can actually delete this guide circle there. Now what we want to do is make a pattern, an array of these 6 circles. Rather than drawing each of them individually and trying to space them 60 degrees apart with a series of guidelines, we're going to let AutoCAD do it for us. So we're going to go into Draw, and then down here is this symbol with 4 squares, and it says Array if we hover over it. So I will click Array, and then we're going to read our directions that it's giving us. Anytime you have a command that's complicated, it always helps to read the directions down here in the black box. So it says Array, Select Object. So we want to select our circle that we want to array. Then we'll hit Enter. This says Enter the array type. So this obviously isn't a rectangular array because these form a circle. We're not following a path, although technically we could. Polar array implies a circular array, so we're going to select that. Good morning. Then we're going to continue on, and we're going to follow the next set of directions, which is to select our base point. So we'll click the very center of our drawing, because remember, these are arrayed around the center here. So we'll click right here, very carefully. And you see it's already previewing our circles. A few things we want to change before we confirm this. Number one, we want to click on Associative and make sure we select No. That'll help us out down the road. Second thing we want to do is we want to select the number of items, and if it wasn't 6, we could change it. So say I wanted 8, we could put in 8. Obviously we do want 6 total circles, so we'll just leave it at that, and we can click Exit, and that's done. Alright, so we're halfway done. Now we're going to draw our teeth on the outside, and then what we'll do is we'll look at what dimensions are associated with the teeth as well. So here we've got a dimension on the very outside that says 6 inches, and if we look, zoom in real close, we see that it's touching the very outer tooth there, and it's touching the very outer tooth there. So then, what other dimensions are touching the teeth? Well, we've got 2 over here. One shows 15 degrees, which is how many degrees each tooth is angled apart, and then we've got 0.125, which is the depth of our teeth. I know it's a little hard to see there, but that shows the distance of that line that I've selected there. So in order to replicate that, we need 2 guide circles, again temporary circles, that are going to be 1/8 of an inch apart. One of them is going to be 6 inches in diameter, and the other one is going to have 1/8 of an inch less on the right side, and the left side, and the top, and the bottom. So what that means is we're going to shrink the radius, not diameter, the radius of that circle by 1/8 of an inch. We'll start with our first guide circle here. We're going to make it 6 inches, so we're going to type in 3-inch radius here. And we're going to do another circle. And like I said, we're going to make it 1/8 inch less. The easier way to do that, rather than redrawing the circle, is we're going to go over to our Modify toolbar here, and we're going to select Offset. We'll click this outer circle here. We'll start moving in. We'll type 0.125, which is 1/8 of an inch. and hit enter. And that's given us that 1/8 of an inch gap all the way around. And again, these are just guide circles, so I'm just going to change the color of them temporarily. Not something you have to do, but it'll sort of help us as we go through this process. Now, we want to draw two lines that are toward the center point. So if we kind of see the teeth sort of all go through our center point here, that are 15 degrees apart. So in order to do that, we're going to come down here to our polar tracking option. We're going to click on the up arrow. We're going to make sure that's set to 15 degrees. Mine just happens to be. So we're going to use our line tool. We're going to start from our center point. We're going to come out straight to the right, and we'll overshoot our guide circles by a little bit. That's fine. Then we'll do the same process again from the center point. Come out in the same direction. Then we're just going to come up until our angle right by the cursor there. 10, 11, 12. So it snaps to 15 degrees, and you see that kind of green extension line come up. All right. That's very helpful. And then what we will do is we'll come in and we will trim off the excess lines. I'm going to select the trim tool here. And I'm just going to click and drag to get rid of the chunks of lines that I don't want. And you can see there's bigger chunks here. I'm going to hit escape, and I'm just going to delete those bigger chunks rather than going with the trim tool. You can see it's kind of left us with these two little line chunks, and I can now get rid of my guide circles. So now we got to look at our teeth. So this tooth in particular is the one that we are trying to draw between these two. So you can see at the top it starts toward the inside of our drawing and then goes toward the outside as it goes down. That's what we're going to replicate over here. Select a line, start on the inside, go down, go to the outside. Make sure we're on the end point. You'll notice it's trying to snap at 15 degrees. That's a common mistake. We want to make sure we're on the end of that line. Hit escape. And now one tooth only consists of 2 total lines, and here we have 3. So obviously if we get rid of our center line, this middle line here, we lose a major part of our teeth. So the only 2 lines that are duplicated are these 2 short ones. So we can delete either of them. It doesn't really matter which one. Then we're going to repeat that array process. So we're going to go back to array, select objects. We're going to draw a box around our 2 lines. Make sure it's not touching anything else. We're going to hit enter. And then again, go through the same process. Again, we want a round array. So we're going to select polar. We're going to give it a base point right here in the middle by clicking the very center. You'll see it previews. Now our number is not correct this time because obviously it doesn't look like our drawing on the left here. So we could change the angle between, we could change the total number of items. We're definitely going to want to change the total number of items. So we have to increase that count. You could technically just guess and check. So I could just be like, 15? No. Maybe 18? No. Or we can do some math. So we want a full circle, and they're 15 degrees apart. So if we take 360 degrees and we divide it by 15, that leaves us with 24. So that is our total number of items. Again, we want to make sure it's not associative and then click exit. That's how we draw the ratchet wheel.